Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. This segment, we're taking a look at a neighborhood center that serves the West Lawn housing development and the surrounding area, the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center. Since 1958, they have focused on education, employment, youth services, as well as health and wellness. My next guest is Devin Hudson, who serves as the executive director of the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center. How are you, Devin?
Hi, Andrea. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So happy to have you join us. July is National Make a Difference to Children Month, and I absolutely thought of the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center and the many programs and services that you offer to kids as well as their families. So with this being the summer months, what are some of the things that you guys currently have in place?
Yeah, good question. Now that we've reopened and we're letting people back into the building and coming away from Zoom services and Zoom programming, we have all of our youth programming in full effect. Our early childhood, we started that. So we've got kids in our early childhood all day long from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That goes from 6 weeks to 12 years. And then we have some MPS programming. We're partners with the MPS schools here, some of the community learning centers. And so we've got day camp with that. We've got about 20 earn and learn kids on site here that are getting work experience through our camp programs, through our early childhood, through our food pantry. So we've got a lot of activity going on for our youth.
Well, that's awesome. And, you know, when you say that now that things are opening back up, so how did you have to kind of maneuver through things and still being able to help those in the community through the pandemic?
Yeah, it was really interesting for us. So we essentially never totally shut down, just given the
Mhm.
fact that we do have a food pantry, emergency food services. So that part of our programming remained open the entire time. It was a difficult decision to come to. I made sure that the staff first was comfortable with remaining open, and then we're in partnership with Hunger Task Force. So we modified our services. We went all curbside, everything prepackaged. You know, we used to be a choice model where people could come in and choose what they wanted, but so everything had to be prepackaged. And so
Right.
being able to go curbside and provide services, at least through the food security part of it, was a critical piece. And then we reopened our early childhood, I think, last May. And then, of course, you know, we did actually have two COVID cases during that time, me being one of them. And then, and,
Wow.
you know, ended up having to shut down. And so, working through that, it definitely presented its share of challenges. I think the hardest part was to do the virtual programming for the youth and really trying to keep them engaged. And then as the summer did start opening up last year, as you recall, you know, everything was in modified numbers. The bigger challenge was having to say no, right? When we were a center that was like, come on in. If there's not a space, we're going to find a space to put you in. And then
Hmm.
being cognizant of being only 10, 15, 25. Those were the challenges. So even though we were able to reopen, I think saying no to kids was one of the harder things. But I am fortunate that we were able to provide some, at least some emergency relief to the community.
Yeah, I can imagine just how hard it was. And I think that a lot of organizations and businesses alike feel like if we can get through this, we can get through anything. So, just about 4 years ago, the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center received a beautiful multi sport complex that was actually gifted by the Milwaukee Bucks and Johnson Control. So, if you would talk about the importance of not only community support, but corporate support right here in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an awesome gift, and both are great partners of the center. They're also partners with Browning Elementary School, who's also part of that partnership. Our building is shared, and so that was a joint gift to this community. And so Browning Elementary School and Silver Spring Neighborhood Center were able to take advantage of that and have our kids take advantage of that. We've also created some great community partnerships with AmeriScores, let me get that right, AmeriScores, Sharp Literacy, Playworks, to do some intentional programming out in that play space.
Hmm.
The whole idea was to have it open to the community. There's like a mini soccer area out there, and so I do see fathers and sons from time to time out there on Sunday afternoons. They're playing soccer, and so we really want to try to engage the community through that space. We've held events, back to school events, um, cookouts, you name it. There's been all kind of things. That was kind of pre-COVID. And so now that we're moving out of that, there are some events planned again for later this summer. So we're looking forward to that. But that was a critical piece in opening up additional community partnerships. And so partnerships in this work, as you know, and as you find out, are so critical, right? Because there's so much need, and not one agency can do it by itself. So I'm very fortunate to have great partners in utilizing that space. And as far as Johnson Controls, them having their neighborhood focus, they pick certain neighborhoods to invest in. We're kind of in their backyard, and that they're in the, I think they're in the 53209 zip code. That's one of the areas that we serve. They've been
Hmm.
great in offering support. They offer support in our youth programming. Again, the playground, as you mentioned. They've done assistance in our employment program. So that corporate support is huge, and every organization needs that as well, because the corporate world does understand their social responsibility, right? So when you're supporting us, you're kind of supporting potential or current employers, right? So all of that kind of has a circular effect. And then the private donations. And so I think people like to be able to see what they're donating to. That tangible
Hmm.
effect has been a great thing as well.
Yeah, it takes a village, and that's really what it all boils down to. So, the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center is known for its elite basketball program, and so you're currently working to kind of revamp things. So, if you could tell us what's going on with that, so that those people who actually visit the center can have a heads up on what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I better do this justice in this space because there's going to be a lot of people listening to that. Because you're right, Silver Spring Neighborhood Center was always known for the Silver Spring Spartans, right? And so
Yeah.
if you said Spartans, you knew AAU. So if you know AAU, you know everything that goes with that. And so at one point, there was like $3.1 million in scholarships that we had given out.
Wow.
There were some, I think Vanderblue came through our program. So we've had names come through the program. But with that, people, they grow up, they age out, and so athletes move on. And so we began to look at like how can we reshape this and bring back more of a community feel. I think when you get really competitive, that brings in a talent from all around. And our focus
Hmm.
really is to remain committed and loyal to this community. So that being said, we did kind of divest that AAU part of it and now are going more player development. We partnered with Sam Waysburn, Dr. Waysburn, and the Sam Waysburn Foundation, and that has a literacy focus. So we take fourth graders, and that completely focuses on their literacy and getting reading scores up and getting them at least at grade level on the literacy track. And so the basketball is the carrot, right? But we really do focus on the literacy, and that helps do the whole player development piece. So then we're also moving from there to fifth grade and then to middle school. So our whole idea is that we will lay that foundation of upcoming athletes and then hope that this will be a source for grooming talent and sending them off to the next level. So it's kind of just the reverse, right? Where we have the all-star elite talent. Now we're grooming them, which I think kind of speaks to what the center and really what this neighborhood is about. It's a neighborhood in transition, but Silver Spring is very foundational to this neighborhood. And so I do like the
Hmm.
focus of going foundation and then building athletes that way.
You've got some other youth social development programs that are in place. So if you could kind of tell us about those that people can utilize as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we again, like I mentioned earlier, we have after school programming. We do
Hmm.
wraparound services for Milwaukee Public Schools, Browning Elementary, and then we have a satellite service over in the Thurston Wood area, and that's a middle school, and so we provide after school services for them. And then we have our youth social development, which is ages 11 to 19. We have that program, and that focuses on sort of like the risky behavior focuses, teaching, building kids resistance skills, decision making. You mentioned confidence building, all of those things that can be really, really critical in that growing stage, those teen years,
Yeah,
where that's easy to get caught up. Right, and one wrong decision can send you down in a completely different path. So we really focus
so
on those
true.
building those resistance skills. We also have an opportunity youth program that focuses on 16 to 24-year-olds. While it has some overlap with our youth social development program, that is really focusing on kids that are disengaged. So if they've dropped out, we're working to get them back in school, or if they're at that out of age where they've graduated high school and they're not in work or in education and continuing some sort of apprenticeship, anything in that area, we focus on getting them back engaged in either employment, education, sometimes housing, sometimes mental health services, you name it. There's a lot of things that affect that age group.
Yeah, so important, all of those things that you mentioned. And early on, I said that you're changing lives of young people there in the community, but you are also helping their families as well. So you did mention you have a food pantry, and you also have a meal program for your after-school program, which is so very important when we talk about food insecurity, especially as we kind of work our way past this pandemic, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So the food program, again, that is part of what MPF provides, and we're always making sure that we're providing a snack and a hot meal in our after school programs. In our food pantry, that does right now, it's still in modified services. We're only doing 3 days a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Fridays does focus on the seniors, which is called the Senior Stock Box Day. And after September, the hope is to go back to regular programming with our food pantry, back to 5 days a week, because I think by that time, hopefully, we'll be good out of the pandemic. And I know that the numbers are going to increase again. And so that need, I feel, is going to increase once again this fall. And then we do have, you mentioned what our adult, as you said, our adult employment program. Can you talk about that? I'm sorry.
I know that you have a lot of programs and services,
Yeah,
so feel
we
free to fill
do.
us in on that.
We do. And so actually, they almost overlap, which is probably why I talked about that. Because what we do is when people come through our food pantry, we also do intake and assessment. Again, it's modified for COVID, but if there's families that are in need of employment, that are in need of childhood, child daycare services, or just trying to get their kids enrolled in something, we're able to do assessments through our food pantry and then kind of do a needs analysis of what our families are really in need of. We also work that if we don't have the service, we work very, very diligently to plug them into another service around the city so they can avoid kind of like a lot of the red tape on where do I go, who do I call. So if we've got that
Yeah.
direct connect to another service, we're making sure that we plug them in. If it's medical benefits, you name it, we do try to offer full services to our families.
Yeah, and like I said, just great things that you're doing there at the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center. It's important to mention that you also co-partner with Blanket of Love Sanctuary to embrace pregnant women and their families and helping making a difference in that aspect as well. As we wrap up, is there anything else you want our viewers to know about the work that you're doing?
We continue to do great work. West Lawn, if you haven't noticed, the West Lawn, which is no longer West Lawn, it's West Lawn Gardens. So it's kind of like the 2.0 version of West Lawn. So anybody that's from the area knows West Lawn, and it's definitely a neighborhood in transition. If you drive by and you'll see all the construction going on, but we're very excited because there's a lot of good things happening in this community. Always a share of challenges, but good things are happening. And I think to continue to be at the core of this, continue to build community, and strengthen families, which is our primary focus. And we do that either through the kids, the parents, or the whole family. That's a very exciting thing, So just to keep us in mind, right? Like always, we're always looking for partners, or if you need a space to send your children or to engage in some type of employment service, we're here.
Well, thank you for all the hard work that you do in making a difference. Devin Hudson is the Executive Director of the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center. You can visit their website at ssnc-milw.org or call 414-463-7950 for more information on anything we've discussed today. That is going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. As always, thank you for watching, and I do hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues, Milwaukee. Have a great day.